I did not do a thumbnail, didn't do any of the stuff that we're supposed to do because, YouTube says you're supposed to do all this crazy stuff. But I did not do any of that. But I met Martin, and as you guys know, we're in the real estate world. We love working with real estate people, especially people who uh, are actually doing it, not just the talkers. There's a lot of talkers out there, and
Right.
when grandma says she's in real estate, and Joe neighbor next door says they're in real estate, everybody is. But I know when my there's a BS detector that comes on whenever I hear certain things. But I was been looking at Martin, and he's the real deal. Martin is a friend of ours. He's also uh, Latinos in real estate, and as you guys know, we are big into the not underserved, but the minority positions and all of that. And so I love and I want to talk about that specifically
Hmm.
because being in the South Side of Chicago, I could see differences of inequalities that were faced there. So anyway, Martin, of course, I believe is Latino,
Dominican, yes.
and he's the CEO and founder of Skilled Property Finders. He has multi-million dollar real estate investing company. So he's done it a few times. He's been an entrepreneur for over 2 decades. Again, I bet you he has some war wounds and some arrows in his
Oh
back.
yeah.
There's a lot of people who I would say are entrepreneurs who haven't done it. And the true entrepreneurs are ones that say, oh, yeah, here's a story. He's earned his six figures at the age of 24 after discovering personal development. He's an active real estate investor. That's a big deal. With 112 multifamily apartments, and is the largest redeveloper in his market. I could keep going on and on about how amazing he is, but you're going to hear that from him as well. So, Martin, thanks for being here, going live. Who knows who's going to watch, if anybody watches, right? But we are live. So, Martin, thanks for being here.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful that you offered me the opportunity to be on your platform, and we look forward to having you on our podcast, Latinos and Real Estate Investing Podcast. That's the name of our platform, where we bring different entrepreneurs. We're looking at potentially rebranding that a little bit. We want to brighten the scope a little bit, and just not just real estate, but entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
right? We want to learn. I'm constantly hungry. You mentioned in my bio there about when I discovered personal development, but I'm constantly hungry, and I have a curious mind of how I can get better and what are the things that I need to do to continue to grow. And I thank you. That was a great intro. Man, it sounds so much better than it actually is. It's,
Right.
I gotta tell you, man, it sounds so much better than it actually is. It sounds like, hey, man, this really big successful guy, and to me, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame, right? I'm
Yeah.
just still, I'm just to me, it just feels like I'm getting started. I'm so excited about the future. There's so many things happening in real estate, so many uncertainties right now, but yet there's still so
Yeah.
much opportunity out there. So I'm just really excited. Thank you, Brandon, again for having me on your platform. Really grateful for that, brother.
Well, I will tell you, I live in Cincinnati, but I
Mhm,
used to live in Pilsen in Cincinnati in
mhm,
Chicago, and I will tell you, um, the Latin thing and over there, it was just living in Pilsen, living in those areas. Champomade, what do they call it? The Mexican hot chocolate. Um,
mhm,
I forget the name. I was just watching a show and I was like, "Oh man,
mhm,
I remember having one of those."
mhm,
But but that's one of the things I miss, and realizing that there's so many from a cultural background differences that lead us into poverty mindsets or different thinking. Have you seen? And I'm not going with your sample questions. I have
mhm.
some of those, but have you seen different maybe poverty mindsets from a from that type of perspective versus, maybe a white guy like me or African American, have you seen some of the same roadblocks in that culture?
Yes, similar but different, right? So full context, right? I'll share a little bit of my story. Um, uh, I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. I like to say, I was made in DR, but I was born in the U.S. Right? I was
Yeah, yeah.
born and bred
There you go.
in New York City. So my mom came pregnant here with me in 1978. That's when she migrated to the United States, to New York City. She still lives there till today.
Hmm.
And I like to say, I was born here by the grace of God. I can tell you from
Yeah,
my model of the world, right? Because we all have a filter and we have a model of how we see the world. And
yeah,
my mom sent me back home to Dominican Republic the minute she had me. I'm going to say a few months after, and to live with my grandmother. My grandma raised me for the time I was 0 to 5, and then my mom, bought me and my sister. My sister was born there in Dominican Republic. My sister back to the U.S. And we went to school here, and we were raised in New York City in poverty.
yeah,
But I want to go
yeah,
back because the most influential years of your developing years of who you're going to become are usually the first 0 to 5, 0 to 6 years. And
yeah,
when I lived in Dominican Republic, we were very poor. And I want you to think of a picture, and your viewers to think of a picture of when you see those third world countries on TV, these kids without shirts and shoes
yeah,
and their underwears running around. Literally, Brandon, that was me. I have pictures that I share with on some of my presentations when I'm keynote on that time. And literally, that was me. We were so poor that when it rained, when Dominican Republic, people think of Dominican Republic of Punta Cana, the resorts, the cruises, and I'm
yeah,
actually going on a cruise in a couple of weeks with my family, taking my wife and my 4 kids to Amber Cove. That's one of the places we're going to stop, which is the Puerto Plata in Dominican Republic. And people think of DR as this paradise and this beautiful place, and it is. But there's another
yeah,
side to DR, and there's the poor side, and I was on
yeah,
that side. And we were so poor that uh, our roofs were made of tin. Right, poor countries have these. If you've seen
yeah,
videos of Brazil, you see I forget what they call them. They're ghettos. They're full of there's these tin roofs. And what happens with those roofs is that as the sun beats it, and you're in the Caribbean, it creates these pinholes on the roof. And when it rains, guess what happens? Water drips in the house. So I remember as a child putting these buckets, so because it would rain in the house and we would have to pour it on the outside. We didn't have running water in the house, where we had to walk a block away every morning with my grandma to go get water so we could brush our teeth, take a shower, flush the toilet in our
yeah,
house. That's poverty right there. But we didn't know that's the level of poverty that I knew. We didn't know we were poor, right? You didn't know you're poor. You're just having fun with the kids in the neighborhood. Everyone's poor. We all eat in each other's house, right? We eat bread and butter for breakfast, and it was just
yeah,
and chocolate, right? Chocolate caliente, like you said, the Dominican chocolate.
yeah,
That was breakfast, right? It was just a bunch of kids and just growing up in poverty, having fun. Fast forward, come to New York City, get kicked out. My mom kicks me out at 16 because I was not being a good kid. Um, in her eyes, which I really wasn't. I wasn't following her rules, and grew up poor here, right? It was the hood too. It was the ghetto, right? Poor.
yeah,
And to your question, I want to go back to the root of your question. That's my model of the world. That's what I saw, Brandon, growing up. So I saw
yeah,
poverty. Everyone around me from the time I was born to the time I was 20 was poor. I didn't really know middle class people personally
yeah,
until I got into sales. Everyone was on a poor mindset: drugs, getting killed, drugs, selling drugs, doing drugs, and we were all poor, right?
yeah,
And that's what we knew. For me, when I started in sales, I got a professional sales job selling insurance for a big company, Fortune 500 company in New York City. It was my lucky break, as I like to call it. Was my lucky break, and
yeah,
I remember going for an interview, and the manager Tony, which I'm really grateful for Tony. Remember him saying, "Yeah, if you sell a policy for $89 a month, you can make $500, man." And I got to tell you, brother, that changed my life. It was like, what? If I sell one policy, I can make $500. That was like, for me, $500 a week was like, and if I sell 10 of them, he was like, yeah, you
yeah,
make 5,000. If I sell 20, and he was like, as many as you can. And I was like, what? Man, and I just ran with that, right? I just ran with that idea of sales because I've always had this personality of give me the opportunity, show me. I always
Yeah.
being broke sucks, Brandon. And I always thought and I always knew like everyone around me was poor and broke. And I hated the fact that I couldn't even afford $1.25 to jump on the train at days because I was so poor. $1.25.
Yeah.
So remember when to ride the train in New York City was $1, and I couldn't afford that. And I always used to tell my mom, my grandma, my siblings, I wasn't born to be poor. I was born to be rich. I don't know what that's going to be like. And I don't know what's going to take me there. I know the how, but I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's just I always had this mindset of I don't want anyone to give it to me. I don't want anything handed to me. I remember praying when I was sleeping in the trains in New York City after my mom kicked me out, thinking, God, just put someone in my life, praying, literally praying, Lord, please put someone in my life that can show me. I don't want anything handed to me. I will work as much as I need to work. Just show me, Lord Father, who it is. Show me, put someone in my life that can teach me so I can go and do for myself. Um, and you ask and you shall receive, says the great book.
Yeah.
And put some mentors in my life and read some books, and that's my perspective on poverty. I just, you know, I don't believe personally. This is my personal belief. I don't believe in if you're living in this country. I don't believe in the because I'm brown or because I'm a different color that I'm limited. That's a load of
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
That's a load of
Yep.
crap. I don't believe that because you're white, Brandon,
Yep.
that you're better or that you're
Yeah.
smarter or that you have other opportunities. Yeah, that may be the case, and sometimes, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, yep. I'm not ignorant either. I'm not stupid. I've experienced
Yeah.
racism too, but I don't believe that just for the color of your skin that you can get ahead. But in this
Yeah.
country, I just don't sign up to that victimhood mentality. I believe in that if you can do it, regardless of the color of your skin, then I can do it. The thing I
Yeah.
have to figure out is I have to figure out number one, what's your mindset? Number two, what's your skill set and how you got there? And then I got to reverse
Yeah.
engineer it and figure
Yep.
out a way to get there.
That's why I was like, I'm excited for this. When I saw some of your stuff, I was like, oh man, we're gonna have a great
Mhm,
conversation and probably
mhm.
be good friends, right?
Yeah,
Because I think
absolutely.
the same way. And a lot of times in our world, it's about poverty mindset or victim. And we say, well, I'm a victim because my mom did this or that and whatever. And I'm like, who cares? Suck it up
Hmm.
and go get to work.
Hmm.
And then we're looking for cheat codes to say, okay, how can I get through there without the pain? And I'm like, well, no, there is no cheat codes. You got to just show up and kind of like Rocky or Creed,
Hmm.
get punched in the face a couple times, and then the true business owners and entrepreneurs are the ones who like got punched, got back up, and did it again.
Hmm.
And that's the hard part, and something that isn't really taught. And sometimes your podcast and YouTube, elite strategy, right?
Be
I
strategist.
think about that. Yeah, elite strategist. You have
Hmm.
a chessboard behind you, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you make the wrong move, right?
Hmm.
And you got to just make up for it, figure it out. But playing chess, getting better at the game because it is a game, and you keep leveling up. But you also mentioned mentors,
Hmm.
guides. You were seeking that out, and now you are becoming a guide to somebody else, other
Yes.
people. So you've kind of went after the wisdom, kind of like discipleship. You went after the wisdom, and now or Yoda or
Hmm.
whatever we want to talk
Hmm.
about, learn from them, and now you're teaching other people. What
Absolutely.
have you, as you've been doing this and seeing, what have you seen some of the challenges now in real estate and also opportunities that you're like, man, this thing keeps happening. If I could just
Mhm.
fix this for people, what would
Yeah.
you do?
Look, I think that there are external challenges and then there are internal challenges that everyone has,
Yeah.
right? And I'm gonna just I want to point out to something you said, right? Like I said earlier, I remember praying and asking God to put the right people. I still pray for that. I still ask for that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's other levels, man. There's other levels. My mentor just bought a bank, right? Like there's other
Yeah.
levels. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do that in 15 years from being a real estate agent to buying a bank? How do you do that, right? There's still some things I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know, right? And I'm constantly looking, and I always have a curious mind, like, hey, how does he do that? What is it I have to do? What is it I have to think? What are the questions I need to ask? Am I asking myself the right questions? Am I looking at this thing the right way? And I think that's the first internal, that's the internal part, right? Am I asking? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
there's the external circumstances, right? There's the external circumstances, the marketplace, what's happening right now in real estate, for instance. I believe we're in the beginning of a housing recession. um,
Yep.
with interest rates going up, we're seeing inventory going up. We're seeing, I have a 1 minute market update that I put out every week on my Instagram and and on my YouTube and everything, where I just give every week market updates, what's happening. Interest rates are high right now in the market.
Yep.
That's an external thing. And then you got the chessboard behind me, and then that's where the strategy comes in. Okay, this is the external stuff happening.
Yeah.
What are the questions I need to ask myself so that I can win in this environment? Right? Because the same things I did last year, right, are not going to work this year. They're just not, right? They're not. Like,
Yeah.
we were one of the biggest flippers in our area last year, the year before. Well, guess what? We last year we slowed it way down on the third quarter, second to third. I'm sorry, third to fourth quarter. We slowed it way down because I saw this coming, because I'm studying, because I'm thinking, I'm spending time thinking. So some of the challenges I see in the market is when it comes to real estate. I think that was the question you asked, right? Right, Brandon.
Yeah.
You asked about real estate. Is the biggest threat to our market. I was having this conversation with a realtor yesterday that is bringing us some deals. Is the feds can single-handedly and will single-handedly, that one lever they have is the most powerful lever.
Yep.
They will single-handedly bring our correct or could crash the real estate market. It's real simple math, and realtors, a lot of realtors don't like to believe this. And realtors, I love you guys, but it's fundamentals. These are fundamentals. I bought my first
Yep.
investment in 2007. I was a broker. I was the guy giving the easy money. Come to my office with a 500 credit score, I'll give you 100% financing on a deal,
Yeah.
right? I was that guy doing those loans. And but it's fundamentals, guys. If interest rates go up and payments go up, right? The cost
Yep.
of money to borrow to buy the house goes up. And now affordability, income is not keeping up with those payments. What has to happen to the sellers? The sellers have to lower their prices to move the assets if they want to sell.
Yep.
They have to. It's just fundamental. They have to, because
Yep.
99% of the deals that happen with financing, right? They that's the beauty of real estate is leverage. So what happens is they have to come down. On multifamily, same thing. Prices have to come back, have to come down.
Yep.
Because if I'm going to buy your multifamily, Brandon, and you're like, hey, I want 4 million for my 100 unit property, or 50, whatever it is, you want 4 million, and I'm like, okay, cool, let me underwrite it. And I'm like, oh, the numbers, just there's no cash flow. The numbers, I'm negative cash flowing. I'm not gonna buy that from you. In order for me to buy it at this rate, the current market rates,
Yep. Yeah.
I have to pay, Brandon, I have to pay you 3.7. Sorry, brother. That's what I got to pay. That's what I could pay. So if you want to sell that asset, you have to bring the price down, because
Yeah.
I got to service the debt, right? So there's that issue. The deal is that there's also guys that I've interviewed on my podcast that were in the business in the 80s when interest rates were 13, 14, 15%.
Yep.
And I asked those guys, how'd you make money, right? I was just a baby, a kid. I was living in the Dominican Republic, right? When those guys were doing it. And they're like, Martin, we just made the numbers work. The numbers just had to make sense. Same thing today. You
Yeah.
have to
Right.
stick to the fundamentals.
Well, and I think that's where I think it's interesting, where everybody and their grandma was a real estate investor uh, previously, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get into real estate. Where we actually have to think. What you mentioned before was thinking time.
Mhm.
and really not just saying, okay, this is going to do this, but actually think and do the numbers. You know
Mhm.
what? And this is the hardest part of business, is what does the math tell me? This is why I love profit first, why I love infinite banking, is because I can leverage assets to my benefit, but I use the tools to understand what the math says. And when people are going into business or going into real estate and saying, I don't like that stuff, I don't like math, or I
Mhm.
don't know those numbers, that's a problem to me. And I'm like, well, what's the cash flow on that? Let me look at the real
Mhm.
P&L. And I think that's where we're at now, is a lot of people have been sold or told, oh yeah, you can get rich quick, just buy this and all of that. And so the Fed is saying, okay, easy money, we're getting rid of it, and you're going to see the what do you call it, boys from the men, or all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff happening. And and it's sometimes a good thing, right? Same with social media. I mean, I swear there's a lot of people who are just TikTok video and this, and I'm like, let me see your P&L.
Mhm.
How much are you paying yourself? Because
Mhm.
those things matter, but it has to start with uh, your head, getting your head right. And wealth isn't just like flashy cars. Wealth is so much more than money, in my
Yeah.
opinion. There's wealth in relationship, wealth in knowledge, wealth in your faith, and sometimes we're just measuring one metric. So
Mhm.
as you guys are listening, listen to what Martin is saying, is we have to be thinkers and learners. And
Mhm.
if you and also here's the thing I will tell you, and he said it as well. I don't know everything.
Mm.
If someone's coming to me saying, "Well, you fix this," or "You tell me this or that," most of the time my answer is, "It depends," and I don't know, but I'll find out, right? And it's a game of chess. We're leveling up. I do think about my son, who's 4, and I'm like, man, I grew up in poverty like you.
Mhm.
My son is able to do amazing things, and I'm building a solid foundation for him, and it's just amazing. He's not going to be a trust fund kid, that's for sure,
Mhm.
um but I'm like, this is why I do what I do. So
Mhm.
um do you have kids now?
4. I have a 27, 20, 27, 25, 23, and 21. So this is an odd year.
Oh
Yes. So,
man,
so
how do
they
you teach
my
them?
28 just my 28-year-old just had his my 27-year-old, sorry, 27-year-old just turned 27 this
What
month.
do
So
you
he's the first one.
what did you have them when you were like 5 or what?
Well, my wife and I started really early. I'm very fortunate. I got to tell you that, Brandon. I was just telling my wife that the other day. I tell her this very often. I'm very fortunate because we both grew up in New York City. I grew up in New York City in Manhattan. She grew up in Queens in Astoria, in Queens, New York, and we met when we were working at a retail store. And I'm very blessed and I'm very lucky to have met my wife because then we had our first child really young. We were teenagers basically, and we've had all of.
Yeah,
I always had a thing that I was like, hey, I'm gonna have all of my kids one home, one place, one woman. Not like my dad. My dad had 9 kids with like
yeah,
5 different women, and that wasn't gonna be me because I wanted to be there for my kid. Not a perfect father, but I did the best I could. We all are doing the best. You're not a perfect dad.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
all doing the best we can with the resources
Oh,
that
I
we have.
am. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have met my wife because I remember we were looking for our first apartment after our firstborn, and I was like, "Hey, come to Washington Heights." So she used to live in Queens, which was much better. Washington Heights is New York City, all the way uptown by the George Washington Bridge, and she was like, "Hell no, I'm not moving to that ghetto." She just absolutely adamantly told me, "No, we're not going there. Absolutely not." And that was the first step. She took me out of the hood. We bought our first house at 21. So she removed me from my environment, from that environment, and just I'm very lucky to have the woman I have. I understand that I am blessed and lucky with that, and I have all of my children there. But you asked how I teach my kids. One of the things that we did, because we both have very hardworking parents, right? In the Latino
Mhm.
community, we're taught to work hard. is what we're taught. My mom
Yeah.
came here, and I remember seeing my mom work in a factory. Right when we came here at 5 and 6, me and my sister, my mom would wake us up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get us make breakfast for us, take us, get us dressed, take us to get a shower, take us to the babysitter, and then her jump on a train to go to Brooklyn for an hour and a half ride to
Yeah.
go work in a factory to do sweaters like this. Right, so I remember going to the factory to do sweaters like this, and then pick us up at 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, cook dinner, do homework, do the whole thing by herself, and do it over and over again. I mean, all I saw was hard work. My grandma in Dominican Republic used to have a factory in our backyard where she was doing cinder blocks. Again, I just saw, and she would wash clothes to earn a living. She would wash
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people's clothes to earn a living. Like, so all I saw was hard work. So again, when I say to you, I had this mindset, I just wanted someone to teach me, because of hard work. Working was not, it was like, hey, I started working at 11. I started delivering groceries at 11 years old in New York City. Was selling my own toys at 9 years old. So
Yeah.
work was not the issue. Was what was the issue? Always, what was missing was a skill. So one day I come home. I don't know. This was I'm going to say 2014, maybe, or 20. It was somewhere like we were just coming out of the recession. I come home, and I see my kids are like, they have so much, man, Brandon. They have so much. Xbox, like Xbox, Wii, this, all the things, right? Pool, big yard, all these things. And I'm like, man, I'm missing it here, right? And I was like, how am I going to teach these kids, right? How am I going to teach these kids?
Yeah.
So I had this idea. The owner of the building where I rent my office in, I don't own this building, but she's a good friend. She was one of my first mentors. She's one of the biggest real estate investors in our area here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she was looking for a cleaner, office cleaner, to clean her office buildings. And I said, Kathy, you have to allow me to be the company that does this office cleaning for you, because I'm going to put my kids to clean. That's how I'm going to teach them.
Yeah.
Right. And none of them weren't driving age, but my oldest was coming to driving age around that time, when I had this discussion with her. And we started cleaning this building, literally this building and a couple of other buildings. And I would pay the kids. Hey guys, I drive you guys. You guys are cleaning the bathrooms, vacuuming these offices, doing all of this stuff. And they all saved their money. So I taught them work ethic that way.
Yeah.
That was the best way I knew how at that time. That's how I taught them work ethic. And then as I leveled up, I leveled them up, right? As I got better and I learned about money, because, I was a kid. I was a kid. My wife and I were kids when we had these kids. There was not
Yeah.
much we knew about money. Her parents also were hardworking, was from a hard, were our heart was, her father was, may he rest in peace, my father-in-law, and my mother-in-law. These both of our families, just hardworking families, and all we knew was work hard, pay your bills, right? That's what we're taught.
Yeah.
Work hard, but we work hard. We're not.
But and I do think that nowadays it's like, oh, let's work smart, and we don't understand the work hard, and it's a both work smart and hard
Mhm,
is what we need to be doing. And my 4-year-old, I'm like, all right, he wants this or that. I'm like, you need to go get a job. Is what I tell him, right?
mhm.
Because like literally, um, that's a important thing, right? To learn work
Work
ethic,
ethic.
especially
Yes,
early.
yes.
And a lot of people do not have work ethic.
And that's
Um,
what I was doing with my kids, was the work ethic. And it taught my kids at the time. My mother was working at Brandon. My mother was working at their grandmother. My mom was working at a hospital in Bronx, Lebanon, in New
yeah,
York City, and she was a cleaning lady. And it was a really good experience for them, because what it also taught them is it taught them humility. We go on these
yep,
nice vacations. We're going on a cruise next week, right? Like I'm taking them. We're all
yeah,
going on a cruise next week, and but it taught them humility. It taught them to treat those people that are cleaning with respect. It taught them to see that those people are humans, that those people are just like them. It taught them treat these people well. They're the ones that keep
yeah,
it together,
yeah.
right?
Well, I do have when you were talking about your wife and moving, my being married and my wife when we first got married, she's like, "You're going to move to." I told her she's going to move to where I live because I make the most money. And there was this verse, and I'm not going all spiritual here,
Mhm.
but it was a verse in the Bible, and it says, "In humility, consider others better than yourself."
Mm.
And this verse came up 6 or 7 times in the course of a week, and I was like, "Oh man, I got to
I got it.
move
Mm-hmm.
to Chicago and drive a hour commute." And I put it actually on my arm. If you look here, it's there. But
Mm-hmm.
I put the verse there, and it's consider others better than yourself. And this is the way I operate my business and our life, is trying to say, okay, others first as we run a business, and keeping humility in there. And someone even told me I like it because it's not very religious. I was like, it's really religious, um, very much so. But it was making that step, and then I started a coffee shop through that, and we led into all kinds of other things. But it was because I was listening, thinking time, and then moving in the right direction. So now you've now had those pains. Now we're doing real estate, and you're coaching people, guiding people. What has been some things that you've seen that you're just like, man, I can't believe, how did I not get that till now? That you're just helping others unlock faster than you did.
Here's the thing, man. Here's what I have found is that I cannot help anyone unlock anything they don't really want.
Hmm.
I found that the people I coach, so I have a very stringent process for me to coach one to one. I have found that Brandon, you can lead a horse to
Hmm.
water, but you can't force him to drink. I used to push people, but if the person does not have the desire to want better, right? And they want a tire kick. Listen, man, business is hard, Brandon. Let's just be
Yep.
real, brother.
Right.
Business is hard. Business is not easy. Um, Business is hard. Like you gotta be relentless to succeed. It's gonna
Yeah.
take, there's some days, there's some months you're bleeding cash. It just is what it is. There's some months you're bleeding cash. There's some months you're doing well, and that takes a certain level. You got to believe. You got to have faith in what you're doing, and you got to have a vision for your life. Uh, without vision, people perish. The great
Yeah.
book says, and I found that the people that succeed are the people that have gone through either enough pain in life, experienced poverty, right,
Yeah.
in life, and they're like, I'm tired of this crap. I'm done, whatever
Yeah.
it takes. And it wasn't for me. It wasn't until I stopped playing games and I was like, I'm tired of this crap of being poor. Like, it wasn't until that happened to me that I broke through. And now there's got to be another breakthrough. Hey, I'm tired of this level. What's the
Yeah.
next level? What's the next level? I need to get to the next level. What is it I'm not asking? Who is it I'm not speaking to? What is the books I'm not reading? What's the habit I need to change? What is that? Right. And I have a
Nice.
business coach, and you surround yourself with people smarter than you. You talk to people like yourself. You just people doing it and getting different perspectives to help you get better. I found that the one thing is how bad they want it, right? If I
Yeah.
would have earlier is how bad they want it. Brandon, people will tell you, yeah, I want to be a millionaire. And if they only knew what it takes to be a millionaire, when they realize what
Right.
it takes to be a millionaire, right? Then they're like, oh, I don't know that I want that. I just want to I want security. I want to pay my bills. I want the level of security. People don't realize, like, man, people, you want to be a millionaire. There's a stat that you probably are familiar with. 90% of self-made millionaires. When I discovered this, I was like, oh, real estate is
Yeah.
it. 90% of self-made millionaires are made through real estate. There's many different
Right.
ways you can do it, but 90% of self-made millionaires are made through real estate. Worldwide, by the way, you can Google this. Worldwide. And when you realize what you have to do to become, even in real estate, what you have to do to become it, most people are like, no, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to deal with rejection. I'm not willing to put all the chips on the table and bet on me. Like,
Yeah.
man, there was a time, Brandon, where my net worth was negative $140,000. Negative $140,000. And bad business, bad decisions, by personal financial decisions, just bad decisions after the other. And then I was like, okay, I'm tired of being broke, and now I'm gonna bet myself in real estate. And I started from a negative point,
Yeah.
right? And have dug myself out of it, right? Dug myself out of it through real estate with discipline, grit. You know, it's gonna take something. Most people want the success, but they don't understand the journey sometimes that goes with that. You know,
Yeah.
um,
The
the
easy
other day,
button.
yeah, yes, no such thing, no such thing. The other day, I woke up. I was up at 2 a.m. This was 3 weeks ago. I was up at 2 a.m. to catch a 6 o'clock flight, drive 2 hours to the airport, an hour and a half to the airport. Sorry, get on a flight to Ohio, get there by 8 a.m., meet my business partner there, rent a car, drive another hour to go walk a 50-unit apartment building that we were really interested in, right? And study the market, go see 4 or 5
Yeah.
different properties, right? Like, dude, you understand how uncomfortable to then get on a plane the next day at 6 o'clock in the afternoon and go back home, right? And still, we didn't get the bid, we didn't get the deal. When you start to think about how uncomfortable and inconvenient that is, like, holy crap, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that, uh, to be real with people, a lot of times is, as I'm working through that, qualifying people, even some of my clients, I'm like, I don't want to work with, or not that my clients, but people who come in, they want a cheat code, or they think infinite banking will solve it, or profit first. I'm like, this is just a system, understanding, right? But the work ethic behind it, I want to help people who want to be helped, right? Mainly.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a hard part, is because, again, people don't realize what it takes. They don't understand the math, or they don't want to. But again, it all comes down to cash flow.
Yeah.
The world of Wall Street has said, "Oh, we'll solve it for you. Just put everything into the market, and we'll solve it." And how's that work for
it,
most people?
it's not.
Kiyosaki, real estate. I'm like, okay, well, no, they have cash flow works, and leveraging that in a smart way, but understanding, like, you are your greatest asset.
Hmm.
Martin is the greatest asset for uh, your business, right? And invest in those things. Sometimes there's a loss, but as we grow, this is again why I like profit first. Is I won't go beyond a certain number, because I know I put those guardrails or bumpers in place, so I will never go backwards like I did in the coffee days. But those are things that came from experience, getting punched in the face, and also listening and having guides.
Yes.
And that's what you're doing now, is saying, okay, here you go. Here's the map. I'll help you, but you have to chart your own course.
You got to
Like,
do the
I
work.
bet you, I bet you, when you're doing your game and you're mentoring other people, their game board is a little different.
Hmm.
They might have similar rules or similar things, but they're doing certain things, and you might have to say, well, have you thought about moving this way or that way?
Hmm.
Um, but I bet you, not everybody's the same as you coach people. Am I right?
100%. Different people come from different places. I have found that what causes change in our lives, and through studying and just talking to successful people, is pain. So it's,
Mhm.
again, when you reach that threshold of, like, okay, I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of this 9 to 5. I'm tired of going job to job. I'm tired of getting fired. I'm tired of being having to deal with a boss that's just,
Yeah,
that I'm at the whim of his or her attitude. I'm just tired of that crap. I'm over it. I want to be able to figure this money thing out so I don't have to go through that. When people really internalize that and put that in their nervous system, then they're like, I'm done. It's usually that's the lever. That's it, right?
yeah,
Remember when I told you I was 140,000 in negative net
yeah,
worth? I'll
yeah.
give you an example of that. My first flip property. Um, I was
You learned how to flip by watching those TV shows, right? That's how you
No,
learned.
yeah, okay, sure. Right. Absolutely not, man. That's TV shows are full of crap. They're
I was
dramatized.
just wanting to put that out there real
Yeah,
quick that you learned from HGTV because that's where all the knowledge comes from.
not at all, man.
Yeah,
Very, very untrue. And actually, when I look at those shows now, I'm like, yeah, you didn't incorporate this, you didn't calculate
hmm
this, you didn't calculate this. You're not giving people true perspective of what the cost of
yeah,
running, of doing what you're doing really is.
yeah. So I
And
derailed you. Let's go back
Yeah.
to
So,
the
anyways, I was doing this flip. I was so committed, right? Because I was in debt. This was my first flip. My projected profit was about $75,000. That one move, man, my wife and I had to figure it out. We were like, okay, we're gonna take 60,000 and we're just gonna focus hard and just paying down our debt. And we just boom, and then we're gonna look for the next deal and we're gonna do it again. And that's exactly what we did. We stuck with the plan. Like we just boom, boom, boom,
yeah,
boom, right? Um, and I remember it was February. I'm in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and it's cold here right now in February. It's out there. It's
yeah,
cold right now. It's been a mild winter, but it was just was a cold day, a cold, really cold winter. And we had ice. I remember my roofers being on top of the roof, getting the ice out and redoing the whole roof for me. That's how cold it was. But we had 2 days, Brandon, where we had an anomaly where it was like 50, 60 degrees, right? And I was
heat
going
wave.
to, yeah, we had 2 days in February where we had warm weather, which sometimes happens. And I wanted to paint the exterior of this house, right? Like it needed it. I couldn't sell it without it. And if you don't have 55 or 60 degrees or 50 degrees, I think it is for the paint, exterior paint to dry, to cure correctly, you can't paint. You got to wait till the spring. And I was not trying to wait till spring. I was in my black and whites. I was going to a meeting in a black and white suit.
Yeah,
And I got this warm spell. And it was around 10, 11 a.m. I looked at the thing and I'm like, so you know what? I called my contractor. I said, get me the painter. Tell him to go this afternoon. I'm going to go buy the paint. I'm in my suit. Okay. I'm going to go buy the paint. I'm going to drive it there. I'm going to drop it off, whatever he needs. So he gives me this list. I don't get there till 3, 4 o'clock. Now it's winter time, right? It starts to get dark at 5 o'clock. Like on February
yeah,
now, it's getting down around 6 o'clock now, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I remember going with the paint. He's in his suit, like his painter suit, that white suit those guys wear. And he's got his sprayer that I rented for him. And he's spraying. And I'm in my suit. And I remember there was ice. So all of the grass is mud. I'm in my shoes, my white suit, and I'm holding the light for him so he can spray. Right. So I decided not to go to the meeting I was going to that night. And I'm holding the light for him while he's spraying. Right. And that's how committed. And now it got cold because now it's nighttime. So the sun goes down. So now it's getting, and I'm standing there, brother. And I stood there for 3 hours holding the light for him until he got it done because that's how committed I was. I was so tired. I was so sick. I was so tired of being broke
mm,
that it was whatever it took. I didn't care that my suit was getting muddy. I didn't care that my shoes were getting muddy. I didn't care that I had to stand there. It didn't matter. That inconvenience was that was just an inconvenience to the other side of that, which is being broke and being in debt and being and having a negative net worth. To me, that
yeah,
was more important, and it was just an inconvenience. I didn't care. I didn't care if I had to roll in the mud, right,
yeah,
to get out of debt. I didn't care if whatever I had to do, if I had to sleep there that night to make sure
yeah.
that we executed on the business plan and we executed on my vision and what I was committed to. It did not matter. Right. And that's why I
Well,
wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, go to Ohio and still do, because it does, like, inconvenience is not that's an inconvenience to the big picture of where I'm going.
when I think about those, like the Grant Cardones and all of this, where they're showing some of the stuff, and we don't know what they did 25 years ago to get there.
Mhm.
What some of those stories, maybe they're just showing, you know, the hey, look, here's the quick thing that I'm doing right now. But we don't know the story of holding the light, right? To
Yep.
get a paint thing done. We don't know those things. They probably forgot them actually.
Mhm.
And I think that that's a part of our story, and it's not sexy. That's probably why it's so hard for me to sell our program, is because I'm telling you, oh, join us, and it's going to be a lot of hard work, and you got to show up, and you got to hold the light for a few hours, and nobody likes that stuff. They want the cheat codes, and the cheat
Mhm.
codes sell. But
Mhm.
it's the having the discipline and the hard work and knowing your numbers, which again is why we do what we do, and having the people that say, that really sucked, and like you and us, right? It's like patting them on the back and say, get back in there. Time
Mhm.
to stop crying. And yeah, you screwed up.
Yeah,
Um,
brother.
so I love that. So as people are, and I know we're going long here, but as people are like, man, I really want to connect with Martin. What are some things that you say, hey, to connect with me, to do these things with me? Here's something that I'm I'm committing, I'm putting out for you guys to help you. Maybe not cheat codes, but the roadmap
Mhm.
that you're able to help people with.
So a couple of things, right? I do a lot of education content, educational content. Again, because it's just so. To me, I remember those days. I'll never forget. Because I'm still that. I still follow a lot. I still watch a lot of content. I still personally consume a lot of content, but I also put a lot of content out because
Yeah,
I
you'll be
believe.
watching our videos,
Yeah,
That's
yeah. I believe in inputting and outputting. So when I learn something,
yep,
I like to put it to work right away. Put input, output, input, output. That's how
yep.
you. That's how you. I believe that's how you retain. Check out my YouTube channel. I'm constantly putting out the real, not the live, not the HGTV stuff, the real stuff. I have a lot there on real flips, on real things. I show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and business. Um, I'm constantly on my Latinos in Real Estate Investing podcast, which is my podcast. I'm constantly putting out uh, amazing content there with really wonderful people such as yourself, where I'm interviewing and getting to understand the psychology. Because see, success is 80% psychology, 20% skill set, and that gives you 100% success. That's a formula to success. Is
Yeah, I think that is it. So if you guys go, we're on YouTube. So if you look him up, literally, just look up his name. He has on his YouTube channel all of the links here to find him.
Mhm.
And of course, you want to subscribe to his channel like I did,
Appreciate it.
because
Thank you, brother.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I know how important it is to build up this, is building influence and watch hours, building a positive message. Actually, the world loves negativity. It loves the trauma stuff. It really
Mhm.
it loves the victim world. And even for me, I was just thinking about this the other day. I did a video on um, what is it? Money and marriage, and it's one of the leading causes of divorce,
That's a big
right?
one.
Is that, however, we did a cheat code almost of what we learned in this, and it's a not as much watched video, because people would rather find the quick fix versus the effort it took for us to learn this thing. And it's just interesting, like as you create content and some of it, what works and what doesn't.
Mhm.
um but like some of the things we need to, as we're creators, both of us,
Mhm.
is positive creation, and change the dynamic where we are about negative news. That's what sells. But do we want to have a different positive world or a negative one? And it's
Mhm.
all starts with us as business owners, as individuals, and consuming the right content to amplify positivity and change that we want to see in the world. So, guys, go to his YouTube channel, learn from him, and again, I think about the banking system, and how in the south side of Chicago It was designed to keep us in poverty. It was
Mm.
designed to block us. And you guys have the bandwidth and control, the things that you can do. It starts here. And he learned that. You guys can learn that. And just, I mean, actually start. That's the main thing. So, um, cool. So, Martin, any last closing words? I know we had a few people here, but
Mhm.
any closing words you want to leave our audience?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just remember this. Remember the formula to success. Success is 80% psychology, mindset, 20% skill set. Then that equals 100% success. Who you spend time with is who you become. You're going to be the
Yep.
average of the 5 people you spend time with. What you consume. If you're consuming content like this, you're getting positive message. Who you're following, who you're spending time with, what you're consuming, what you're watching. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Um, yeah, is what Zig Ziglar used to say. Is one of famous Zig Ziglar's quotes. Uh, you are you become what you who you spend time with. So be wise on who
Yeah.
you spend time with, what you're reading, who just who you're spending time with. People often ask me, "Hey, Martin, where are the achievers? Where are the people that?" Well, you know what? There's something called Meetup. There's a Meetup app, and you want to learn about money. There's a Meetup in your city. There's some sort of Meetup on real estate. There's some sort of Meetup or something. Start there, right? If everyone around you is negative, man, pay attention. Your body doesn't lie to you. You know when people are
Yep.
negative and they're complaining and they're victim and everything is bad around them. Dude, Brand, let me tell you, man, I have a radar for those people, and my body immediately tells me, this person's off. Like immediately, I'm out. Like immediately,
Yep.
I'm not spending time. So pay attention to who you're spending time with. Go to the Meetup app, look up real estate, look up investing, what it is that you want to learn, marketing, what is it? There's a Meetup for everything. That's where, let me tell you where people like Brandon and I are. I'm gonna give you the secret right now. You know where we are? We're in places, right? We're in rooms learning, looking to get better, looking for better ways to do things. That's where the achievers are. What's ironic is that the people that are already doing things, here's the irony of it, is the people that are already succeeding at a high level are the ones that are constantly seeking to get better.
Yeah.
It's ironic, right? Because you think, hey, this is the guy that's already winning. This is the guy that owns a company. This is the guy, and those are the guys that and gals that are investing the most money in themselves, that are investing the most money and most time in reading and listening to podcasts and going to events and making sure that they're getting better and staying up to date on what's happening out there and how they can get better.
Yeah.
So that's my parting words to people is watch who you spend time with, change your circle, and it'll change your life, change your habits, will change your life. Just if a poor kid like me can do it, um, so can you.
Awesome. Well, there you go. Mic drop right there. You are your greatest asset.
Mhm.
Be a learner and learn from people like us, Martin, right?
Mhm.
And will we be able to answer the questions? No. But we are in the rooms where we are continuing to learn. So be the learner. Don't forget, like, subscribe to the video, and share it with a friend, especially maybe those people that are the victims. Maybe they're just going to stay there, right? And they're not going to watch this video. But I guarantee you, if you listen to this video and you change those behaviors, you will see success. So
Absolutely.
thanks, guys, for being here. And thank you, Martin. And I'm excited to be on your show
Yeah,
soon.
looking forward to it, brother.
Awesome.